Good morning. This is Terrence R. Redding. I'm a Doctor of Education associated with the Benjamin Franklin Institute of Global Learning, and I would like to share with you some interesting information about mankind and his learning across the ages. I've been fascinated by the notion that learning occurs every time we open our eyes, every time we face the day, every time we consider what we need in order to have a good life. And the Global Learn Day is about celebrating mankind's learning, the innovation, the exploration of knowledge, the opportunity to improve our human condition and to make the world a better place for us on this planet. I asked myself the question, what has occurred in the area of learning in various parts of the world? And one of the items that I came across that caught my attention responded to a question that I asked. When did we first start using fire? When did we learn to use fire to cook our food, to improve our digestion, to increase or decrease the amount of time it takes to take on protein and to remain healthy? And I found a story from scientists who've been studying human evolution that indicates that over 200,000 years ago, before humans became humans, before hominids became modern man, that we were using controlled fire in our daily lives. A cave in Israel has signs of human habitation by hominids. Up to 350,000 years ago. 350,000 years ago, 150,000 years before modern man appeared on the scene. And so the use of fire predates what we call the Stone Age. Let me back up. Which occurred first, the Stone Age or the use of fire? Were we tool users before we were fire users? And there are artifacts associated with human development that go back 3.4 million years ago, indicating that our predecessors were using stone tools, that we had entered what we call the Stone Age. And the Stone Age continued until about 6000 BC, or almost 8,000 years ago. Up until 8,000 years ago, we were using stone tools. We had not entered the age of using metal to improve our tools. And so if the Stone Age is from 3.4 million years ago to about 6,000 BC, or about 8,000 years ago, and fire, we started using fire 350,000 years ago, 150,000 years before we became what we call modern man. I just wonder, has that been true everywhere? Where were we in the world when we first started using stone tools, when we first started using fire? It would be a good question for students studying the history of man to know the answer to that question for where they live, whether it's in Europe or Asia or South America or the Pacific Islands. It would be an interesting question to ask about your hometown, about the region that you live in, where your people are currently growing up. Ask yourself the question about the history of learning in your area, and then share it if you can with the Global Learn Day crowd on Global Learn Day's Facebook page. It would be fascinating to hear from you and to find out about learning in your area. So consider creating a short item, even if it's just a text post, citing the story of learning from your part of the world. When did you first start using stone tools in your area? Or did you arrive on the scene, humanity arrive on the scene already using modern tools or more modern tools? When did you first start using fire? Was fire something that had been used by humanity in your area a long before you can even identify who they were that were living there and using fire? So what's the history of learning in your area? Let's talk about that, and then post something at the Global Learn Day Facebook page. It would be fun to hear from you. Thank you very much. This is Dr. Terrence R. Redding, education, interested in mankind and learning, interested particularly in high self-directed learning. Who were the innovators? Who were the people that came up with these ideas? And if we don't know their names, do we know when and where they were at the time they made a change in humanity that had an impact on all of us, improving the human condition? Thank you for your time and enjoy Global Learn Day.